What's going on YouTube? Long awaited video for you. It's going to be on the Apex Tactical flat face trigger. Before we get started, I just want to make a quick disclaimer here. I did reach out to Apex Tactical and they were kind enough to send out this trigger kit for me to do a review on. This is their polymer flat faced trigger kit for the M&P 2.0 series of pistols. They do make this for the M&P 1.0 as well, and many other different brands of firearms. Again, this is the polymer version. They do make an aluminum version as well. That one's going to run you about 70 bucks more. This one here is $99.99, and the aluminum version is going to be $169 and $179 depending where you live. So I've had this pistol for roughly a year now, and I've put it through its paces, and it's my daily carry. Not a single hiccup, knock on wood. I decided to go with the purple version here. Don't ask me why, I just thought it looked cool. So it comes in many different colors. This one here is purple. Also comes in black, of course, FDE, red, blue, and there's a thin blue line version as well. It's got a black trigger shoe and a blue safety mechanism. So let's drop down a little closer and I'll show you guys what's all included in the package and we'll go from there. Again, this is the Apex Tactical Polymer Flat-Faced Forward Set Trigger Kit. Comes with everything you need to install. I'm not going to do that on camera just because YouTube is really strict on install videos, but Apex does have a really good series on how to do that. Again, this is on my M&P here. Do a quick safety check for you guys. There's nothing in the chamber, nothing in the mag well. So we're good on that. So let's open up and see what's inside of the box here. First thing is a flow chart. So this here actually shows you what color springs you use to determine what poundage that you want. Mine right now is set at 4.5 pounds, which is what I want for my daily carry. You guys take a look at this. This diagram is also on Apex's website. So you get this tool here. What it's used for is on non-optics ready M&Ps. The safety plunger is actually underneath the rear sight, so you're going to have to drive that sight out, and when you reinstall everything you're going to want to put this in the sight channel. That way the spring doesn't come shooting back out at you. Optics ready models, the safety plunger sits underneath the plate here and it's secured in with a tiny little plate with a little Allen screw, so you've got to unscrew that and take that out and install. So what comes in these plastic bags is, of course, you can get your trigger shoe, but this is the factory one. You're going to get 2 trigger springs. The green one's going to be the heaviest one. This is the factory one. I did install the other one that Apex provided. So you're going to get 2 of these. 2 sear springs. One's going to be yellow, one's going to be purple, and this one here is going to be the factory one. I'm using the purple one right now. It also has this yellow dowel looking thing here. That is so you can secure your trigger spring to your trigger bar when you install everything back together. In the other bag here, let's see what we got. Get the safety plunger and the safety plunger spring. And get the sear and the sear actuator. Again, these are all factory M&P parts. I did switch everything out. You're able to differentiate which one is which. So the first thing you're going to want to install is going to be the safety plunger, which is right there. Apex does have a video on that. Like I mentioned, I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to check it out. It'll be on their website. Pretty basic install on that. Difference on this one versus the factory one is this safety plunger is a little more rounded. You're going to get a cleaner trigger pull. Looking on the inside here, I am using the Apex sear and the Apex sear actuator. This one here has a little bit more material on it, so when you pull the trigger back, the trigger bar hits it a little quicker, and that is what makes you have a short take up. And the reset here, that is what makes you have that clean, audible, and tactile reset. I am using the purple sear spring. That is what they recommend. That sits underneath here, underneath the sear. Use the factory trigger bar and the trigger return spring. I'm not sure if you can see it sitting right there. That is the Apex Tactical Silver Trigger Return Spring. I did use the factory one with all Apex parts, and that made my trigger pull about 3 pounds. That was a little too light, so I put in the Apex Tactical one, and that brought it up to 4.5 pounds, which is just perfect. And then that is the Apex Trigger Shoe and safety mechanism right here. Pretty basic install. You just drive this pin out on your old one and install the trigger bar and pop that pin back in. But that's about it of what all comes in the packaging. Honestly, this took me about 30 minutes to install. If you don't feel comfortable, you can always take it to a local gunsmith. I believe you can send this into Apex and they can install it for you as well. I just don't know how that is during this whole pandemic. and whatever is going on in this world today. Recap: the Apex Sear, Apex Sear Spring, Apex Sear Actuator, Factory Trigger Bar, Apex Trigger Return Spring, and the Apex Trigger Shoe. So we can put this back together and I'll show you guys how the trigger feels. So this compared to the factory trigger, you're going to have a lot less take up. So this is all the take up you have. It's just right there. That's all. And then get the brake. If you guys can see the reset. That is it right there. It's really short, really tactile. You can feel it, you can hear it. And the brake. Again here, take up. Really, really smooth, no grit at all. Wall, brake. Reset, brake. No over travel. Reason being is because if you guys look close enough, there's this little cutout here. That is what's going to hit up against your frame here, and that's going to prevent the trigger from traveling back even further after you brake. Alright, so I'm going to do some trigger pulls for you guys with my trusty Lineman trigger gauge. Again, weapon is clear. .76, 4.67. Again, this is all going to matter, of course, of where you're going to set this trigger pull mechanism. If you pull it towards the middle or the bottom, it's going to read differently. .53, 4.93 with an average of 4.56 pounds. So roughly 4.5-ish. That's where I like it for my daily carry. Like I mentioned earlier before, all Apex parts plus the factory trigger return spring, that's going to put you closer to 3 pounds. All Apex parts with the silver Apex return spring, you're going to get what I got here, roughly about 4.5 pounds. All Apex parts with the green trigger return spring is going to probably put you right at 5.5 pounds, I'm guessing. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on this? It's an amazing trigger for the money. You can't beat it for $100. The only difference between this version and the aluminum version is the material it's made out of. Everything else you get in the box is the same. Really nice trigger. Just can't beat that. If you guys want to pick up one of these, go to apextactical.com. Apex Tactical is one of the very few companies that passes all drop tests, and there's many law enforcement agencies around the country that actually use these Apex triggers just because they are that proven. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me to get an Apex flatty, and I finally got one, and it is a game changer. Everything from trigger feel to trigger reset to the brake. I highly recommend flat face triggers in general just because it doesn't force you to wrap your finger around the actual trigger shoe versus this where it's got a flat surface and you can just use the pad of your finger here. Again, just want to say thanks to Apex Tactical for sending this out for the channel to do a review. Greatly appreciate them. Check them out at apextactical.com. Keep an eye out for future videos as I do some more range sessions with this trigger itself. And that's all I have for you guys. Until next time, be safe everyone.